What's up, everybody? This is Nick, and you're joining us once again for a Micro Mini Lightning Pull Up a Chair podcast. That's right. Today we're combining both of them because we're going to bring you a little bit of news, but we're also going to talk to you a little bit about just some stuff that, I don't know, we've kind of gone through. But as always, I'm joined by my friend slash newscaster slash co-host.
This is Eric.
And Eric, a few weeks back...
Hold on. So when you start these up, one, I'm almost caught off guard every time because you just start going. Two, I don't know what we're doing until you start saying what we're doing. Like, what format we're doing this in. That's when I know what we're doing. Like, I don't know beforehand. You just go, this is a whatever show you say, and then I'm like, okay, that's what we're doing. So I'm glad that I'm surprised, just like the audience.
Well, Eric, you're as much a member of the audience for this podcast as anyone. So this is the whole deal. Is I'm trying to help you.
Oh, thank you, Nick. I appreciate that.
Be light on your feet. Do you know what we're talking? Eric, what would you like to talk about?
I know the topic we're talking about.
Oh, what is that?
We're talking about scams, right? Scamming. Scammers, scamming, scammers.
That's right. You are very correct.
Yeah.
Because, Eric, do you remember a little story that we reported on it's been a few months.
I remember reading this story in the news. I do not remember us actually reporting on it.
I thought we did a Good Samaritans.
We probably did. It sounds like a story we would have reported on. I'm just saying I don't remember it personally.
Well,
it would have been some time ago. We did a Good Samaritan podcast.
Yeah, it was a news. It was a
Micro Mini newscast.
Micro Mini newscast. I believe this man was part of it.
Okay.
He gave this woman who had broken down on the side of the road. He was a homeless man. Gave her $20. $20 to go and fill up her car with gas.
Yeah.
And because of that, her husband or boyfriend, I'm not really sure what their relation is. Anyway, they started a GoFundMe to help this man. And it ended up raising, are you ready for this?
I'm holding my breath.
$400,000.
Wow. $400,000. That's a lot of money.
To help this man who was...
This couple is a couple. They're cut from a different cloth, Nick. They're here to really raise up humans and people in society because they see them as equals.
Yes,
and that is admirable. I can't for the life of me. We should probably talking about them again because they're probably helping others already.
Well,
tell me what they're doing or what happened.
Well, my friend, you obviously didn't read to the end of the article.
Oh, I just read about the couple, just the first few sentences.
Right, you read that and you thought, what good people. It's good to know that good people are out in this world. I too, thought the same thing. However, what has happened is that these kind folks who... allowed themselves to raise this money or did it.
I'm glad they allowed themselves to do
that. They
did.
They allowed themselves. They said, you know what, self, I want you to go raise this money for this kind individual that did this.
I'm glad they took 10 minutes out of their day to create a GoFundMe page.
They did. And they got people to donate money and do all sorts of stuff. Well, apparently they decided to spend about $300,000 of that or so
on that generous guy and donate the other $100,000 to another charity, right?
No, they spent it on themselves. Apparently, buying shoes, going on vacations. What I love is that the article actually says shoes, which means they must have spent a lot of money on shoes, which I'm guessing was more her than him. Well, I don't know.
You don't know nowadays.
Yeah.
You just don't know.
But
shoes from DSW are expensive.
Right.
That's $100,000 a pair of shoe right there.
Well, so the lawyer for Kate McClure, who is the woman, and Mark Damacchio, I don't know. Translates out to be.
Are they married or not married?
I don't think
they're not married. Okay.
I think they're just boyfriend girlfriend. Anyway, they have been up to this point. They have been saying that they have the money, that it's still there. They have been denying having spent it. They swore up and down that they gave this man some money and he spent it on drugs, which, as you pointed out, has not been really denied.
Oh yeah, we talked about that before the show, though.
Yeah,
the guy was. They said they gave him $20,000 and he blew it in like a week or two, and on drugs and whatnot, and so they didn't want to give him any more money, and that was part of the reasoning for keeping the money away from him. But like, that's never been denied that he got 20 grand and blew it on drugs. That's never been denied. So I'm assuming that. Let's go with let's say that did happen. That doesn't mean it's their money. It was raised for another cause. So, but go ahead.
Well, so last week, apparently investigators with a search warrant went to the couple's Bordentown home and seized a 2015 BMW. Good year. Great year.
That's a fantastic year for BMWs.
Yeah, great year.
I mean, I remember when you like get one of those BMWs and you're the first one to crack it open. It's a great smell.
Right.
Got that aroma.
I mean, that's the year that they actually had 4 wheels on the BMW. Yeah. Several Louis Vuitton bags and anything else of value, including jewelry, computer records, and financial documents, according to evidence logs submitted with the motion. So, I mean, there was, and not only that, leading up to this, and I've kind of been following this. Leading up to that, people have been pointing out that this couple has been going on vacations and all these different things. Like, they went to Vegas and they've been posting it to their, I guess, Twitter and Instagram.
Don't they deserve it, Nick? They spent 10 minutes out of their day to help some guy raise $400,000. Don't they deserve 3/4 of that money?
Well, I mean, it was their idea.
Yeah.
He gave them $20. They deserved at least 80% of what.
Yeah, 80%.
What they got.
I mean,
because
this isn't Russia. This isn't communist Russia.
They gave him back his $20. In fact, they gave him 1,000 times that.
Yeah. So everything seems pretty on the level now.
So, but I mean, they lost a court case. This whole thing has been going on. Today, as of September 10th, Monday, it has been shown, I guess, they brought in a forensic accountant and made them basically say where all the money went to and that sort of thing. And the what has now come out is that they spent it all on shoes, vacations, new bags, Louis Vuitton bags. I mean, you're finding out that they did this good deed, but I guess the money was too much for them.
You know, I've heard that the saying, money's the root of all evil. You know, I've heard that. But this is the first time I've ever heard of something like this happening, Nick. This is the first scam I've ever heard of.
You know what? How dare someone take the pure, just, you know, the pureness of a GoFundMe, something as pure as GoFundMe, and taint it like this?
It's disgusting.
This world does not deserve GoFundMe.
This is probably the first GoFundMe that's ever had this happen to it.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, never.
The only time that we've ever reported on it. By the way, this just in, GoFundMe taken advantage of. But I mean, this kind of thing, all joking aside, this kind of thing, scams have been a thing for, I don't know, probably since the beginning of man.
Yeah, I mean, that's why,
ever since the serpent said, eat that fruit.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
it was all a scam.
I mean, the first scam, I would something be on the level of unbalanced scales.
Yeah.
When buying grain or that if you read the Bible, it talks about it, that it's an abomination Unbalanced scales are an abomination. Basically saying that sort of greed and taking advantage of others is despicable and deplorable.
Well, yeah. I mean, my reaction to what these people did, and I told you, I have moments where I just call some people trash people, and they're basically meaning they're the trash of society, and that's what I look at these people as, is that they took something that was supposed to be like a good thing for them to do, but they
Twisted it. Yeah, but let's think about this. That really comes down to the person, the character of the person doing it. And like you said earlier, the money became too much for them. They saw that they deserved it, or I don't know what kind of money they make in their jobs, but they probably said, this guy's getting $400,000 for us. It became all about them. And
right.
That's when.
And let's be honest, I would like to say that in that type of situation, I would be able to be like, oh, no, I got this type of thing. But, I often wonder if I would be...
I wonder that too. The exact same question. How would I act? I hope I would have the character to go, no, this is not my money. When it wasn't their money, it was the GoFundMe citizens' money, the GoFunders.
Right.
It was their money, but they saw probably one of two things, or both these things. One, that they deserved it, and two, that he didn't deserve it, that he was lesser.
Right.
And so he didn't need as much as they needed.
Right.
So
I mean, that's something that, I mean, it's kind of a big deal. Let me ask you this, Eric. We can talk about this. I mean, obviously there have been scams throughout, like you said, throughout history. I mean, some bigger news items like Enron, WorldCom, Bernie Madoff, those type of deals that make history. But what are some scams that you have experienced in your life?
You said one that I'd forgotten about that actually affected me a great deal, and that is the Worldcom scam. When WorldCom went under, WorldCom was a huge, I don't know what, they were early .com.
Right.
I don't know what their business model was entirely. They cooked the books.
Right.
But what happened was they were a huge consumer of IT individuals when we were going to school, and they collapsed soon before our graduation. Now, you went off to continue your education, but I went into the world.
Right.
And they had let go of something like 3,000 IT personnel. It was some insanely high number in around our area, inside of Oklahoma, where we're at.
Right. I remember that being a big one for us.
And it flooded the market with people who had 2 to 3 years of experience doing IT work. And I want to say, getting out of college, I knew 2 guys that had jobs lined up. One was because his brother worked for IBM, and another was because he was like the president of one of the societies, and he just created connections over a couple of years with different businesses, because he would have them come in and speak to the group. I can't remember exactly what group it was, and so he had created some inroads there, and he was an international student. One of the guys came in and was like, "Hey, do you need a job?" And he's like, "Yeah, I could use one." And so he got a job. This is the guy's like, "Don't worry about you. I'll get you in. You've had me speak." I mean, he had used his college career to build that clout with this person,
right,
and used it to get a job. But pretty much everyone else was mostly left to the wind what jobs they were doing already, or going back to live at home. I mean, that's what it was. For me, I had a job. I worked for an IT division, but I didn't do IT work.
Right.
And because of that, I'm here at my current job today because of that incident, because it affected the market so abruptly at that time. It took years for it to recover, and by then I had developed a little bit better of a career where I'm at now, and so I've stayed there, even though now I'm trying to leave, but I'm not yet. I'm trying to. So yeah, that one I didn't really think. I do see that as a scam, because they were cooking books, and there was something with telecommunications and
yeah, I mean,
internet.
they had many. I mean, they went from $103 billion company to basically folding up as a company.
Well, my aunt, who I saw this weekend, worked there and said she would come in. I mean, it was a huge building. I've been by their building before. And it was huge, this huge complex. And she said she would go in and entire departments would just be gone and disappeared. Just overnight. And she worked in a non-technical field. She worked in more like an accounting side. And so she's like, she saw that this was not good. And I was kind of hoping that she could give me a job there, because she was like, hey, when you graduate, we're always hiring people out of college. I was like, yes, perfect. But no. And she was like, entire departments would just disappear overnight.
Oh, that's crazy.
She said it was bizarre.
Well,
and then she was like, she just went to work one day and the doors were locked and they were like, you're all laid off. You're all done. I think that's how she realized she was fired. She said she saw in the news that the company had basically got shut down by the federal government.
Wow.
So,
I also mentioned Enron. Enron being a huge one. Do you remember the Enron? I remember Enron just because a lot of people lost stock, and it was one of those things where I remember a news broadcast where it actually the cops or the FBI released footage from inside the inside of Enron, and it was literally people running with documents to shred them.
Yeah.
And it was so crazy to see, because you see that sort of thing in movies,
it's like from the 80s.
Yeah,
it's like an 80s movie.
Yeah, it is. Like that. What was that? Was it Wall Street with Michael Douglas? There was something similar to that. I can't remember that, but yeah, I mean, you would see that sort of thing like a movie from the 80s. There was, I mean, it was so bizarre to actually see play out in real life, because I also remember that there was a lady that was running with some documents and tripped, and I actually found that kind of funny. But I mean, it was such a bizarre thing. But do you remember? I mean, what about some that were kind of personal to you? Do you remember the old phone call scammers from like back in the 80s, where they would call you and try to sell you on something? Or I mean, there were legit companies that were calling, which was annoying, because back then they didn't have that no.
They'd call it dinner. They'd call it dinner.
They call it dinner, but they didn't have that. They didn't have that no call list yet.
Yeah, that's relatively new, like less than a decade, maybe.
Yeah, and so I mean, it was always annoying. I remember more than one time my dad yelling into the phone at, because I mean, some of these people were really aggressive.
Yeah,
I mean they were
commission based.
Yeah, commission based, but I mean, there some of them would actually call, and they were scammers.
Oh yeah,
they were part of like a pyramid scheme or something like that. I mean, I knew quite a few guys, that got in on some of those like knife things, and where they would sell knives.
Oh yeah,
but it was like
cutlery.
If you sell this many, you can move up to the second level. And,
yeah.
And you might, catch a whiff of some money. Like,
yeah.
You might be able to smell it from there. But it was, I don't know. And I know there's a lot of people that were probably part of those things that bought into it and that sort of thing. But it is something that, man, I remember these scams where people would call, like, when I was I went on a mission trip to Malaysia, and my grandma got called and told that she was talking to me. They acted like they were me.
They're like, "Hey, Grandma."
Yeah. They're like, "Hey, Grandma, what's up? This is Nick." Like, because that's how I start every phone call. Like, "What's up, everybody?
What's up?
What's up, Dad? This is Nick."
This is Nick.
But no, I was like, but they called, and I just happened to be overseas, and I'd been over there for about 3 weeks or so when the phone call happened. But they told my grandma that I was stuck and I didn't have any money and I needed help and that kind of thing. But of course, she called I'm guessing either hung up on them or whatever and called my dad in a panic because, hey, Nick's over there and is he really stuck? But, I told Dad, I'm like, no offense to Grandma, but Grandma wouldn't be my first call. Like, I love my grandma. She at the time she was in her 80s when this kind of late 80s when this happened, but she's not the first.
She's not your go-to.
She wasn't going to be my go-to. I told Dad, I was like, if I'm in trouble, I'm going to call Dad probably. Like, I'm going to call my parents and be like, hey, listen, this is going bad. But I mean, that's the thing is there are these. Have you ever experienced a scam like that? Anybody?
Well, on the same vein, more than once my dad's been called saying that I was having legal problems. I mean, I was a full-fledged adult living my own life, and someone called my dad going that I was having legal problems or that they were police. That way, when they were police, like, you need to pay this or have your son call this number, blah, 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 blah. And, I remember that even not that long ago, within the past 10 years for sure. That's happened at least once. So, and there was another one, my ex-wife, when we were together, I got called at our house, and it was a local number, like a local to where we live. And I was talking on the phone to this person, like, yeah, we need her social security number to do this. And I'm like, I was like, this is like a local, this is ours area code. And this number is like from a town, like one of the little suburb towns. It's like a landline number almost, but I think it was a cell number. I'm not sure. And I was like, this is a scam. And she hung up. Like, she's like, no, it's not. Well, what I come to find out is there was a lady with the exact same name as my ex-wife. She had the same maiden name, same, like, first and last name was the same. Mm-hmm. And I've kept an eye on this lady over the years, and she has a lot of legal issues. I think she was trying to get my ex's social security number because she could use her ID because it's her actual ID, but with my ex's social security number, because it's just the same name. Huh. It's perfect. Okay. So I think that's what it was. Because it was really, really targeted. And the way it came off, it was like, this person has done a little research. It wasn't like a blind call. And my ex's name's not too uncommon. So, yeah. That was within the past 12, 13 years.
Okay. Well, I don't know. I just find this kind of mentality. I mean, I don't know the type of people that would, one, try to, I mean, I can get trying to get out of legal trouble or that sort of thing. But two, people that would, like my grandma, to me, like, elderly people, I guess they're easy targets, but
yeah, soft targets.
They're also kind of, I think they should be protected and placed into a facility where they can be monitored,
roam free, but inside cages,
and we can visit them and throw food at them. And
you're a monster, Nick.
I know, but no, I mean, I'm of the mindset that, one, that was my grandma. I guess I can understand me being a little defensive, like, I want to hunt these people down and I'm going to find them and, but I mean, it's just kind of a weird mentality. I understand wanting to make money. Now, I did look up, I kind of looked up some, while we've been sitting here, I've been looking up some old scams. And there's one back in February of 1980, my birth month and year.
Is it called the Nick Scam?
No, it's actually
where you get a
called
child?
the 1980 Pennsylvania lottery scandal.
Oh, wow.
So this guy by the name of Nick Perry.
Oh, is that who you're named after?
Yes, actually. He was an announcer working for a local TV station, one that broadcast the 3-digit lottery game Daily Number. So he secretly weighted two of the ping pong balls in the machine and left those with the numbers 4 and 6 unchanged, therefore largely limiting the combination to those two numbers. His lackeys bought a great many tickets using those numbers across Pennsylvania and also placed their bets on the bookies on the street. As expected, and this is where it gets good. The rigged machines picked out the numbers 666 as the winning combination. Now, realize this happened during my birth month. Earning the conspirators more than $1 million in payouts. However, the ominous combination plus the many tickets purchased raised rumors of a fix. But yeah, so he finally got caught when they tracked down some of the winners and questioned him and found out about this.
Yeah, someone's got. Yeah,
someone's gonna squeal.
What's that? You can only keep a secret. What is that? 2 people can keep a secret if one's not alive.
Right.
Basically.
Yeah.
There's a better saying for it, but yeah. That's like that guy. It was like the first phone scam, I guess. This guy worked in a bank, and they would throw, was it a bank? It was some sort of financial institution, and they would, every day this word got changed. It was back in the 70s, I want to say. I'd have to look it up. It's been a long time since I've heard about this story. I'm just doing it from memory. They would put up this word that was like the code word for the day for doing transactions between accounts, and So during his lunch hour, they weren't supposed to like announce and put on the board what this number was, but during his lunch hour, he went downstairs, called back to his own office, and he knew all the account numbers and to get money to and from.
Right.
And the code word, because that's what he did. And so he called and he had money transferred from an account using that code word to his account.
Oh, wow.
And then he went back to work and worked all day. He eventually got caught. I don't know how. I'd have to look this old one up. It was like one of the first like phone scam things that it's just not scam, but like that idea of like using kind of like common knowledge. Like a lot of the scammers will go out if you type your name on Google, you can get like a list of all the John Smiths in an age range from a certain city, and you can kind of build a database and eventually like sift out through like social media who people are.
Is that what you're doing?
Shh.
You hear that, John Smith? Eric's coming for you.
All of you.
He will fight you in the street.
Oh, I will take all your internet monies.
He will fight you in your seats. He will fight you everywhere. No, I mean that's an interesting. I mean that's something that I wonder, because I mean one of the articles I kind of read said that, you know, in the 80s you'd get those phone calls at lunch or dinner like we were talking about, and they had the element of surprise on you. And now the phone call scammers now have a lot of technology that makes their job easier, is what this article said. But I don't really know, because I mean we have caller ID now, and most people don't answer when it's an anonymous phone call. I mean,
yeah, but here, I mean, the new one are pop-ups. Yeah, like, hey, you got a virus. Now, I've in the past couple of weeks, it's weird that we're talking about this, have started watching like people who scam scammers. Who will, hey, I'm going to call a pop-up. You know, pop-up, your computer has a virus.
Yeah.
And it's just a pop-up on a website. And you call that number, and they remote into your system, and they syskey you, and they lock your system up, and then they try to extort money from you, and they try to get you to buy fake virus software and all this stuff. I've been watching those, and those are great, but it's crazy how persistent they are. And how like once they realize they're being scammed, and sometimes they're stupid enough to allow the tunneling software to remote in to go both ways, and the guy will start like black screening, like turn the screen black and do a bunch of work, and then bring it back up because they're not entirely tech savvy. They're just dumb criminals, probably employed by somebody.
Right.
And they'll like wipe out entire like a bunch of network computers. This guy's like, oh, there's like 32 computers on this network, and he's like, and he ran something. He goes, all right, now they're all dead. And he's like, he basically removed their sys32 program, and so everything started freaking out, and they can't restart them. And he goes, oh, and I had that little virus on all our computers, so I have to clean them up anyway. And what he does is he has a VM running, and he allows them to remote into the VM and do whatever they want because he can just scrub it.
Huh.
And he tracks all their logging and what they do and the stuff they type in. And it's pretty cool. I was like, this is hilarious. They get real mad. Now the thing is, the moment they realize they have been duped, they get super offended by it and start acting like they're the victim. How dare you waste my time?
Well, yeah.
And I mean, and he goes, yeah, I'm wasting your time because I'm wasting your time that you'd be scamming other people. And he'll always like, they keep logs on like who to call back and, you know, all that stuff. He'll go in and find all the logs of who they called. They usually have them in a file somewhere, and he'll scoop them up and then call those people and say, hey, you're getting scammed. And then he'll send their number and a bunch of stuff to like different organizations that track this stuff.
Oh,
I was like,
wow.
this is crazy. These guys on YouTube, they are hardcore, and it's not like there's one or two. There's a lot of guys that do this. So there's a movement to fight back against that style at least.
Well, and that's good. You gotta have those white hat,
scammers,
hackers as they call them. But the guys that are actually trying to do good. And I mean, that's the thing. I mean, it is something that, I mean, obviously you got to be careful of. I mean, there's a lot of people that have been taken advantage of.
Yeah.
You and I, another person that I had just showed you, which kind of messes with scammers and that sort of thing, is James Veach. He's a YouTube guy, comedian, and he'll mess with them and do that sort of thing. So that it's kind of funny to watch them do stuff. I did find out about one here, and you might remember these. Do you remember a little product called Insight? Do you remember these little commercials with the guy that walked around?
I remember those Insight commercials. I don't remember. What was the product? I remember seeing it.
It was a male enhancement
Oh,
product.
yeah. Was this considered a scam?
Well, it wasn't. The selling of it wasn't. Apparently, the company was a scam. The guy... It says in 2001 it fleeced countless males into buying herbal enhancement pills. Insight. Apparently it didn't work.
Well, yeah.
And when people tried to get their money back, which he promised in the commercial, it promised a 100% satisfaction or your money back type thing, and it didn't work on a lot of people, but he hid the getting the money back behind a practically impossible wall
a bunch of steps you have to
right.
go through. It's like, well, you have to do a formal complaint with your name and address that will be published once the complaint is, well, that's crazy.
One of the requirements being a physician certified document stating that the pill failed to work on the patient. So that was one of the steps, is that you actually had to go to a doctor, which I know he was banking on a bunch of guys are
pride
are not going to go to a doctor and being like, hey, listen, I'm having problems. Can you?
Yeah, my junk ain't getting bigger.
Yeah.
Not that it needs it. Yeah, I'm just saying.
Not that there's anything wrong, but like everything's.
I was just doing this as a goof.
Everything's fine.
I'm just joking.
But yeah, so I mean, this guy he scammed a lot of people out of money. They
did they go after
the
him?
Authorities raided the headquarters in 2005, uncovered evidence of the corporate practices, and in 2008, Warshak, the guy that founded the company, Steve Warshak, was sentenced to 25 years.
Oh my goodness! Wow, that's crazy.
So you remember those goofy commercials.
They were funny commercials, though.
Yeah, everybody remembers the commercials. I mean, it was a great marketing deal, but I didn't know that it ended up being a scam.
Me neither. I didn't know that either. I'm glad they got that guy, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure other guys were mad. But
Yeah.
not me, because I didn't buy that.
Right.
But I'm sure those other guys.
You're like, yeah, and my doctor, he got me that. No.
My doctor said I didn't need those pills.
Yeah. He's like, you're great.
He's like, you're amazing.
But, so, I mean, scams are, I don't know, there are some, doing just a little bit of research here, there's a lot of scams that are very interesting, especially scams that happen even way back when. I mean, there's an 1897 scam here that involved like a great diamond hoax.
Oh,
And
really?
then-
That
yeah.
sounds awesome. Sounds like a movie.
And then there's the Civil War gold hoax, and that was an interesting one. But I mean, you guys can look all this stuff up.
Well,
but,
there's a little known scam. It's called the IRS scam.
okay,
Here's how it works. The government will tell you that you must pay them money in the form of taxes. That, my friend, is a scam.
well, you know what isn't a scam? A little thing called the Pull Up a Chair podcast. And they can find it all out in this internet world. And Eric, it will infect you, but not your computer. It'll infect your soul and your ears and
Your heart.
And your heart.
Yeah.
And why don't you tell them where they can find us?
Well, you can find this infectious podcast all over the internet. First and foremost, you can, of course, find us on every podcasting app, iTunes, the new podcasting Google app, Podbean. You can even find us on Alexa. And all over the place. We have our own website, puckpodcast.website, pucpodcast.website. And the best place to get a hold of us is Facebook or Twitter. Just search for Pull Up a Chair Podcast. And on Twitter, it's at Pull Up a Chair Pod. Come yell at us and tell us all about the scams that didn't get you either.
The scams of the 80s. Or, any
90s,
decade.
2000, whatever.
90s. Anyway. But, I mean, I thought this was a fun topic.
I think it is too. I think we could do some more on it. Maybe in the future there's no shortage of scams in this world.
No.
We'll just wait, and when the next one pops up, we'll do another show on it.
And there's been some big ones too. But with that, you know what? We have to do a little message saying whatever you're infected with based off this podcast is not held responsible by the Pull Up a Chair podcast. So have yourself a great day.
Bye.